The United States in the trenches, a silent partner. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, a conflict that has shaken the very foundations of European security, has seen the United States entangled in a complex web of military assistance, diplomatic maneuvering, and shifting policies. Far from a passive observer, the US has played a pivotal role, albeit one fraught with inconsistencies and internal divisions. This essay delves into the multifaceted involvement of the United States, examining its impact on the trajectory of the conflict and its implications for the future. The US, from the outset, has walked a tightrope, aiming to bolster Ukraine's defenses without directly engaging in open conflict with Russia. This delicate balancing act has been the defining feature of US involvement, shaping its responses across military, diplomatic, and economic domains. The US has provided substantial military aid to Ukraine, but has also exercised restraint in terms of direct military intervention. This cautious approach underscores the high stakes involved, as any miscalculation could escalate the conflict with potentially disastrous consequences. A helping hand, USAI, and the flow of support. The lifeblood of Ukraine's resistance has been the steady stream of military aid from the West, with the United States emerging as a key provider. Central to this support has been the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, a program designed to bolster Ukraine's long-term defense capabilities. The USAI, established in 2014 following Russia's annexation of Crimea, has focused on training Ukrainian forces, providing them with modern equipment and enhancing their operational capacity. From anti-tank missiles to secure communication systems, the USAI has played a critical role in equipping Ukraine to counter Russian aggression. In addition to the USAI, the US Congress has authorized billions of dollars in military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. The passage of Public Law 1/1850 in April 2024, allocating a staggering $95.3 billion in foreign aid, including a significant portion for Ukraine, underscores the bipartisan support for Ukraine in the US Congress. This sustained flow of military assistance, coupled with training and intelligence sharing, has been instrumental in enabling Ukraine to hold its ground against a numerically superior Russian force. Shifting sands, Trump's America and the Ukraine question. The Trump administration's approach to the Russia-Ukraine conflict has been marked by a distinct shift in US foreign policy, characterized by a more transactional and less interventionist stance. President Trump's America First agenda, with its emphasis on reducing US global commitments, has had significant implications for the US role in the conflict. One of the most significant developments was the suspension of military aid to Ukraine in early 2025. This decision, reportedly stemming from President Trump's desire to pressure Ukraine into investigating his political rivals, sent shockwaves through Kyiv and beyond. The suspension of aid, though temporary, highlighted the uncertainty surrounding US support for Ukraine under the Trump administration. It also raised concerns about the potential for US foreign policy to be influenced by domestic political considerations, potentially undermining its credibility on the world stage. Furthermore, President Trump's consideration of lifting sanctions on Russia, a move seen as favorable to Moscow, has further fueled anxieties about the direction of US policy. This apparent softening of stance towards Russia has created a rift between the US and its European allies, who have largely maintained a united front against Russia's actions. Across the pond, Europe grapples with an uncertain ally. The shifting sands of US foreign policy under the Trump administration have had profound consequences for transatlantic relations, particularly within the context of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. European nations already grappling with the security challenges posed by a resurgent Russia have found themselves increasingly uncertain about the reliability of their long-standing ally. The suspension of US military aid to Ukraine in 2025 exposed a stark divide within the transatlantic alliance, with European leaders expressing dismay and concern over the Trump administration's actions. This episode underscored the growing divergence in perspectives between the US and its European partners on how to approach the conflict and engage with Russia. The uncertainty surrounding US commitment to NATO, a cornerstone of European security since the end of the Cold War, has further exacerbated anxieties. President Trump's repeated criticisms of NATO, coupled with his calls for reduced US financial contributions, have raised questions about the future of the alliance and its ability to effectively counter Russian aggression. Section 5. The People's Voice, American Public Opinion and the Halls of Congress. The US response to the Russia-Ukraine conflict has not transpired in a vacuum. It has been shaped by a complex interplay of public opinion, congressional action, and partisan politics. Understanding the domestic factors at play is crucial for comprehending the trajectory of US involvement and its potential implications. Public opinion in the US regarding the conflict has remained divided, with no clear consensus on the appropriate level of US involvement. While a significant portion of the American public supports providing aid to Ukraine, there are also those who believe the US should avoid entanglement in another foreign conflict. Congress, as the legislative branch of government, has played a pivotal role in shaping US policy towards the conflict. The passage of legislation providing billions of dollars in military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine highlights the bipartisan support for Ukraine in Congress. However, the Trump administration's decision to suspend military aid in 2025, despite congressional approval, underscores the potential for executive action to circumvent legislative intent. Section 6. Cracks in the facade, effectiveness and criticisms of US policies. The US approach to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, while characterized by a commitment to supporting Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, has not been without its shortcomings and criticisms. Assessing the effectiveness of US policies requires a nuanced understanding of their intended goals, their actual impact, and the unintended consequences they may have generated. One of the most contentious aspects of US policy has been the use of economic sanctions against Russia. While sanctions have undoubtedly imposed costs on the Russian economy, their effectiveness in altering Russia's behavior remains a subject of debate. Critics argue that sanctions have had a limited impact on Russia's strategic calculations, while also imposing costs on European economies and potentially pushing Russia closer to China. Furthermore, the Trump administration's decision to suspend military aid to Ukraine in 2025 drew sharp criticism from both Democrats and Republicans, who viewed it as undermining US credibility and jeopardizing Ukraine's security. Section 7. A New Dawn, a New Game, Recent Developments and Their Implications. Recent developments in the Russia-Ukraine conflict demand a re-evaluation of the US role. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's proxy war statement has muddied the waters. The CIA's pause on intelligence sharing with Ukraine has raised serious questions. The potential shutdown of SpaceX's Starlink in Ukraine adds to the precariousness. Section 8. The Road Ahead, Uncertainty and the Future of US Involvement. The road ahead for US involvement in the Russia-Ukraine conflict is fraught with uncertainty. Domestic political divisions and shifting geopolitical dynamics make it difficult to chart a clear course. The US faces complex choices, each with its own risks and rewards. One major uncertainty is the future of US military aid to Ukraine. The Biden administration has pledged support, but the level and nature of that support will be influenced by the conflict's trajectory and domestic politics. Section 9. Conclusion, a complex legacy. The enduring impact of US actions. The US role in the Russia-Ukraine conflict has been a complex and often contradictory one, characterized by a mixture of support for Ukraine, attempts to engage with Russia, and a degree of uncertainty about the best way forward. The legacy of this involvement is likely to be debated for years to come, as its full impact on the conflict, transatlantic relations, and the future of European security remains to be seen. On the one hand, the US has provided crucial military and financial assistance to Ukraine, helping it to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity in the face of Russian aggression. This support has been instrumental in preventing a complete military takeover of Ukraine by Russia, and has demonstrated a commitment to upholding international law and the principles of national self-determination. On the other hand, the US has at times been criticized for its inconsistent and unpredictable approach to the conflict. The Trump administration's decision to suspend military aid to Ukraine in 2025, coupled with President Trump's often contradictory statements about Russia and President Vladimir Putin, raised concerns about the reliability of US support and the potential for US foreign policy to be swayed by domestic political considerations.